So today I have a kind of a special video because this is a little bit more for the international viewers as opposed to the US viewers. A lot of times when I talk about knives, there's so many different knives that are available in the US. And then unfortunately, there's a lot of people outside the US and countries all around the world, and they watch the videos and they love them and they want the knives, but they're just like impossible to get. Or the price is 2, 3, or 4 times as much as you would get it here in the US. So this is my first impressions of a new knife company to me, Ed Mahony. Ed Mahony is located in Germany. You can see their logo here with the bull. Underneath it says Outdoor Adventures. And I have a couple models. I got all 4 of these at the same time. And I want to say it's been a few months since I've had these, maybe 4 months, something like that. When I first got them, I got these 2 models here, which are identical. This is their Landslide model. Although I really like the black, I went with the green to actually use. So this one's unused for now. All right, this is a slip joint. This actually has 4 stop points. Okay, so instead of just having a half stop, all right, there's actually a quarter stop, half stop, 3/4 stop, and then we're open. Very, very cool knife. All right, so I actually carried and used this one. I'll put that one off to the side for now. I just want to show you the black, all right, G10, heavily textured, which we'll talk about in a second. All right, and then these are very similar knives. This is their Ebony folder. All right, this is a lockback knife. Very nice ebony wood scales. All right, this is a very, very similar model, only this one has, you know, some layered G10, as you can see there. All right, and this is a liner lock. All right, when I first started using these, I've used both these knives, but after about a week or so, I found that the liner was pinching my finger just a little bit, you know, the skin on my thumb. Not a huge deal, locks up like a bank vault. There's no blade play in any direction at all. I just decided to put this one off to the side and focused on using this one instead. All right, so this model, well, actually, let me get them next to each other so you guys can see the differences. Because like I said, it's a very, very similar model. The blades are almost identical. You can see on the right, the nail nick's a little bit bigger. The placement of the logo is in a separate spot. Obviously, the handle scales. Obviously, this is a lockback. This is a liner lock. But even on the bottom here, you can see it's slight differences. This one's a little bit wider towards the bottom as well. All right, but like I said, very similar enough that I wanted to use this one to get a feel for the knife. So, also want to show you the boxes real quick. Simple cardboard boxes. The Landslide, which are these knives, came in a larger box and also came with spare hardware, all right, as well as a little double-sided Torx wrench, right, which is very nice. So if you want to take the pocket clip off or something, the tool is included. And sometimes people mess around with their knives and they take off the pocket clips, or you know, want to play around with them a little bit, and they end up stripping the screws. So it's very, very nice in order to have, you know, some spare hardware there, so you don't have to worry about trying to contact the company or find those screws in the case that you mess them up. All right, so I'm going to start with the Landslide model. I absolutely love this knife. I think this is awesome. Just how it feels in the hand. These scales are very heavily textured, which I really like. It's a little bit of a con for carry. All right, just because it is so heavily textured, you can see on the other side, jumping right to the pocket clip here. Very nice clip, very nice springiness to it, good tension and everything. But because this lands on this heavily textured scale here, it does grab the pants quite a bit. I had no problems with denim jeans. If you were to take your knife in and out every day for months on end and years on end, it would probably wear the pants a little bit. I did try this with some jogger type pants as well as like sweatpants, and it grabs hard. All right, so, you know, possible, you know, wear and tear on the pants. If it really concerns you and it's a knife that you decide to carry day in and day out, you can always remove the pocket clip and just sand down just a touch here, just to knock off some of the edges on this texturing. But I absolutely love how aggressive the texturing is. All right, it feels like no other knife. It's hard to explain. Imagine the stickiness of like an Emerson scale. But not as fine. You know, it's more of a coarse texture. It's not uncomfortable at all. You can use a knife fairly hard. Now, keep in mind, this is a slip joint, but it has a very heavy back spring. All right, you're not going to accidentally close this. You could really, really hit this on something, and if you're lucky enough to get it to start to close, it'll stop in that first stop point. All right, if you slam it on something, maybe it'll stop in the second stop point. For some reason, if you're the Hulk and you hit this on something, it'll probably stop in the 3/4 stop point, okay? So as far as being a quote-unquote safe knife when it comes to slip joints or traditionals, this is second to none. I don't think I've ever had a knife that had as strong of a back spring on this thing. And again, because you have a 3/4, half, and quarter stop point. It's like huge gears or something. It's like doosh, doosh, doosh. It would be almost impossible to accidentally close this on your hand when using it. All right, so if you're one of the people out there that love your classic knives, you love the traditional style knives, but you're a little fearful, you know, of having no lock, this one gives me a lot of confidence, more confidence than probably any other traditional knife that I have. On top of that, this is huge for the people in different countries that have laws against one-hand opening knives. It would literally be a challenge to open this one-handed. If I use the nail nick on here to start, because that's the only grip, I'm not going to be able to grab it any other way, I can maybe get it to the first stop point if I really try hard here. I am really trying. All right, there we go. So I got to the first stop point. At this point, it's a little bit too far to grab that at that, you know, where the nail nick is. So I can't manipulate this. If I really, really tried, maybe, but I'm just saying as far as customs go, as far as, you know, being stopped by some kind of law enforcement, wherever you live, they're not going to be able to open this one-handed. All right, so you're definitely within, you know, those parameters if your country or wherever you're located happens to have that type of law. So I would really, really highly recommend this. This is actually about a fifth. I mean, I'm going off of, you know, euros, and I'm in America, so I'm not used to those denominations and stuff. But this works out to be about a $50 knife in the US, all right? So it is an affordable knife. I think the quality is awesome. The steel on this is D2, which is clearly marked on the back of the blade. There we go. All right, again, on the front, you can see the Ed Mahony logo, all right, which looks very nice, kind of classy with the bowl. Great texture, great ergonomics, super strong, super reliable. Dare I say hard use slip joint? That doesn't sound right, right? Usually slip joints are not hard use. I would have a lot of confidence in cutting stuff hard with this, and I did. I did a ton of cardboard cutting with this, never even had it go into that first stop. All right, not an issue at all. I was doubling up and even tripling up the cardboard and really trying to cut through. I did use this until the D2 dulled out, so I ended up having to do a little touch-up job as far as the sharpening goes, but this thing never closed on me. All right, and there were a couple points when I tripled up the cardboard where I was cutting down and it was starting to get a little bit dull, so I wanted to go pull back. There's a lot of pressure because now I'm pulling out of the cardboard and it is putting pressure on that spine. And it would move a little bit down, but it never actually went even into the first stop. All right, so like I said, as close as you're ever going to get to what might be considered a hard use traditional knife. So I was thoroughly impressed with this. The only downside at all, number one, a little harder to get if you're in the US, and number two, the clip, you know, landing on this aggressive texturing, all right? So if you happen to wear, you know, like gentlemen's slacks or something, or really thin pants, you might run into issues with wear from that scale. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, I love it. I love the green. Obviously, you know, the black is black. Everyone loves black, right? Exact same knife, like I said, just different color there. But yeah, the Landslide, so far, my favorite amongst these knives from Ed Mahony. So would definitely recommend that, especially for the international viewers. Now, when it comes to this knife here, this is a whole different ball of wax, if you will. Just because it's a much larger knife. This is, of course, a locking knife. I would very much consider this a hard use knife. This is their Ebony folder. All right, so we have ebony wood scales. And if I give you a side view here, you can see that they taper up top here. They get wide, then they come in a little bit thin, and then back out. All right, so it's actually like a palm swell. You can also see it fattens up in the middle here. You get a really good feel on this, almost like a fixed blade. All right, it really does feel out the hand. It's very smooth overall. There's no jimping at all. Again, even though there's no jimping on this one, it doesn't feel smooth because of those nice textured scales. But this does come across as a very smooth knife overall. Plenty of blade on this to do all kinds of work. I actually did a little bit of woodworking with this knife as well. This one is also in D2. Now, just as a quick note, this other version, the liner lock, is in 440C. All right, but this one in D2 performed very well. You can see that the bolster on here is almost like a crimped bolster, which is really unique. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Sometimes on traditional knives, you know, when they have crimped bolsters, whether it's on the top or the bottom or both, it's like, well, I shouldn't use that because it doesn't have a bolster. Usually, like on the very end, I think they're called pinched bolsters, also known as crimp bolsters, but there's a little bit of like an indentation towards the top, right? This has like a massive indentation. It's just a really kind of unique look. Definitely stands out. It's definitely like their type of thing. All right, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I like things that are different. As far as like fit and finish on this, it's pretty well done. I did notice around the wood scales where these screws are. Let me zoom in a little more here. You could see that whenever they were drilling out, maybe the bits were getting a little bit dull. All right, so it's not a perfect cut around the wood. All right, same with this one. A little bit of a rough cut. Doesn't affect the performance at all. Just something I happen to notice. All right, and I think there was a spot. Maybe the bolster, I forget, maybe it was down here. There's just a little imperfection on the metal somewhere. I forget exactly where it was. But just to kind of represent the fit and finish. Now, this version is roughly a $50 to $60 knife, US. This version, I think they have on sale on their website for like 33 US, whatever the equivalent is. I forget what the euros is on that. It's a little bit less, like 29 or something. You know, but again, that one's in 440C. It's a little bit different. Without the Ebony, has that G10 scales. You know, so I mean, across the board, we're talking, you know, $30 to $60. We're not talking about very expensive knives here. These are not $100, $200. So like little imperfections like that, it's not a big deal to me. All right, these are all very much user knives. They're not collector's knives. You're going to be buying these and using them day in and day out. This particular one is very comfortable in the hand. Again, with the palm swell. The scales are very nicely done. They're super smooth. All right, I do like the little extension here. It's kind of a spacer piece for a lanyard if you want to add one. Did not use a lanyard on this, just kind of like it for the looks, a little bit different. And also the lock back, it locks up perfect. All right, there's no blade play, extremely strong lockup. But it's kind of interesting that the lock bar actually has a hump in it. All right, it's usually flat. As we know, like Spyderco uses the Boyd dent, so there's actually indentation. This is actually raised. All right, now my first you know, thought on that is, well, if it's raised like that, maybe it's easier to accidentally unlock or close. And I tried many, many times to squeeze this in a normal grip, even reverse grip, okay, and try to get that to depress, and I can't. All right, there's not enough pressure because your hand's flat. Maybe if you had like a really a really bad callus on your hand, maybe you can get that to be firm enough to push that lock. But just in normal use and really squeezing it and cutting and stuff, I never got it to even loosen up. All right, so there's no concern as far as that having a hump in it. It's just kind of easier to get to unlock the knife. All right, again, this one has the nail nick. There's enough blade to just grab the blade and pull it out. It is very, very smooth opening and closing. All right, I also noticed that because the nail nick is here, you can kind of initiate that blade one-handed, all right, and then, you know, use it one-handed. Closing is a little bit more difficult because this is a long knife. A lot of times, the one-handed style of closing that I use for lockbacks is to push in the lock and push the blade against the bottom of the hand, all right? So once you knock it off center, there we go, just like that, then you can rotate your grip and bring it in. A little bit more difficult because of the length of this knife, all right? So as a whole, checking out this brand, Ed Mahony is a thumbs up for me. Very good option. Again, if you have limited resources in whatever country you're from, if this is a brand you see, I would suggest checking them out. I definitely think you're getting your money's worth in this case, and you're also getting very usable knives. My only issues across the board, again, just the texturing with the pocket clip, a little rough on, you know, fragile pants or thin pants. As well as the liner lock grabbing the skin sometimes. Now I could probably show you this in using the knife naturally, you know, closing it and opening it, just like this, make my cuts, whatever I'm doing, right, closing it. I happen to be down here, okay? If I put my thumb up higher, it doesn't pinch, but it's just something I wasn't conscious of, you know what I mean? After having pinched, you know, 4 or 5 times, I decided just to rest the knife down and focus more on this particular model because they were so similar. So anyway, if you guys have ever tried an Ed Mahony knife, I'd love for you to write down in the comment section what you think of it. But like I said, very impressive overall. It's a brand I'll definitely keep an eye out on. And anyone who's international, more specifically Europe, I would certainly recommend them. So that's it for now, guys. Hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.